Schnauzer and Tater Toe says, shout out Jersey Watch.
It's Jersey Watch.
Hey yo, what's going on, you guys? Cuddy from Jersey Watch Blog. We are here at TashoCon. It is a movie. I got my guy Rick, Take a Hike, author and cartoonist, right?
Do both, yeah.
Come on, he does everything that you need. How are you feeling today?
Pretty good. It's nice to be back in Jersey. I'm originally from Edison.
Okay.
I grew up with my family in Edison. I left there in 1977, and I've been back a couple of times, but it's been about 6 years since I've been here last. So, nice to come back. And in fact, I'm going to be coming back a couple of times because I've been doing these Zoom classes, teaching kids how to draw cartoons, and a lot of them are from New Jersey, so I've been doing this since COVID hit, and so a lot of these libraries are now asking me to come do programs in person and do book signings, so that's what I'm doing. I've come back to New Jersey a few times all the way through October, so I'll be doing a number of book signings here. Yeah.
Okay, and you've been going crazy. So let's talk about why you're here today, because I seen you was getting in them with the kids. Their parents were buying some books.
Yep, the librarian here, Lauren, asked me to come and do ToshuCon with her. Originally, I was going to have a booth, but decided that I didn't want to be outside all day because it's so hot and everything. So mainly I'm here for this event anyway, the book signing and also the teaching the class. And she got my information from my promotions about teaching kids how to draw cartoons. So she invited me to ToshuCon. And so we had about 30 kids and we were drawing cartoons. I was teaching them how to draw all kinds of animals and different characters. And it was really a lot of fun. I really get a lot out of these classes. I love doing it. It's good for your head, you're just drawing with little kids. It's so much fun. And I think kids' art is the best art because it's so honest. Yes. They're unpretentious. They're not worried about like what it looks like. They just do it. They just say, like, I'm just going to do it, So it's just, that's what I love about kids' art. And the stuff, I couldn't even replicate some of the things these kids do. It's just so much fun. And they get a lot out of it. And I really encourage them. And I work more so about the process as opposed to the finished product. Because when you draw and when you sing and when you dance and you do art and something creative, you're doing something really good for your brain. It's a really good part of being creative human being. We're all creative human beings, and we grow out of this stuff. Kids. If you go into a room with kindergarten kids and say, "Who wants to finger paint?" Every single hand will go up, right? Like, everybody, because we're born artists. We're all born artists. Everybody wants to be creative. It's part of being human. But as we get older, we get more self-conscious about our art because it's a very personal thing. How you see the world is very personal. And if someone doesn't like your drawing or your painting, it makes you feel like, oh, maybe I'm not good. Maybe I don't want to take that risk again. So they give it up. And that's a mistake because even as a professional artist, and I've been doing this 40 years, I still get rejected all the time. Wow. And probably 90% of the stuff I send out doesn't get sold, but it's those 10% that affords me a really good living. And that's the whole point of it. Even people like Taylor Swift or Lady Gaga or Drake, they're all great musicians and they're brilliant, but there are people that don't like their music. But that doesn't stop them. It's not about getting a full consensus of everybody liking you in order for you to be an artist. That's not how it works. You have to find the people that do like you and who are going to pay you and who are going to, support you as an artist. Right. So get that out of your head that everybody has to like you in order to be successful. So it's not true. So I try to teach that to kids that don't give up your art because your friend doesn't like your art or someone in your family doesn't like your art. There are going to be people that are never going to like your art, but there's going to be a lot of people that will. And that's what you want to find is those people that will. And that's what makes you an artist is if you can find those people that will support you as an artist in your vision of how the world looks, you'll have a happy life because you get up in the morning, like I get up on Mondays, and I love Mondays because I get to color again.
Right.
Sunday
was like the chill day.
But when I was a young man, I wasn't always a cartoonist. I had jobs where I was a house painter. I sold cars. I sold furniture, and I worked, in food service. And none of those jobs I liked. I just never had because I wasn't doing what I love to do. And what I love to do is cartooning. And when I was in my early 20s, I was a house painter in Los Angeles, and I was on a 30-foot ladder, and I was thinking, do I want to be here in 10 years? And I said, no, I don't. So I taught myself how to be a cartoonist. I didn't go to art school. I didn't go to college because I grew up in a really big family, didn't have money for it. So I was out on my own. I was 18. I had no idea how to do this. But I I got every book I could about cartooning and also about the business of cartooning, because being an artist, most of it's about the business, how to protect your work, how to sell your work, how to put yourself in front of the right people. Yeah. And I started applying the things that I was learning. And I also bought, like, if I could take a class or buy a book or go to a seminar, if I learned one thing from that, it was worth the price of it. Wow. So I was like a sponge. I learned everything because I love doing this. Right. And it doesn't feel like a job, and it didn't feel daunting, because even when I wasn't making any money at it at first, it still felt great because I loved doing it. And I knew that at some point I was going to succeed, because for most people, the biggest hurdle is their own doubt, their own self-doubt. And that's what you have to be careful of, is just if you could get past that, you will have a lot of people in the world that want to help you. You'd be surprised what a support group is out there. Other artists, other people that are in the same business that you want to be in, they love talking about what they do, and they love helping young people. And I help young people all the time because I was helped when I was a young person starting out. So it's like you give back, it never felt like a job to me. Still doesn't. I just love what I do, and even when it fails, when something doesn't work, that's good information, because you know what you did wrong, and you learn from that, and you apply that to the next project. And because I was gonna say, even your book, Take a Hike. So you told me the backstory, but for the people who don't know, you were working on a book before this one. It didn't go, and then you wrote this one. I had two graphic novels I was working on. One was a memoir. It was a more serious book. Another book was a middle grade book about a kid moving out of town, going to a new town, being a new kid in school, and it had a parochial school theme to it. So he was going from public school to Catholic school. Mm-hmm. And we sent it to, my agent and I, we sent it to like 40 publishers, and they all kind of balked at it. And I was really upset because I worked on it for 2 years. And so I just sat down, I wrote the stupidest story I could think. This is the dumbest thing, the dumbest characters. And I finished this book, and I gave it to my agent, and he didn't even know I was working on it. Right. So I worked on it for like 3 or 4 months. I said, here's a finished book, see what you can do with it. And he goes, what? Where'd this come from? I said, just see what happened. Third publisher picked it up, and they said not only did they like the book, they want a second book. So wow. I just finished the second book that's going to come out in February, and he's now thinking maybe we could do a third book. I have the second book, these two characters, Schnauzer and Tater Toes. In this book, they're looking for their mother. They get lost in the woods. They're trying to find his mother, and it's just fun. They run into all these grim fairy tales characters like Red Riding Hood, and they run into Hansel and Gretel and the Big Bad Wolf and the Three Bears, and it's just a bunch of comedic results and adventures that they have. And yo-yos are involved. It's just really dumb, but it's funny, and kids love it. And so the second book, it's just as dumb. They go to the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., and they accidentally launch the Apollo module, and they go to the moon by accident. So it's just a really dumb story, but it's funny. Kids love it. And then the third story, I'm still in the outline part of it, where they want to go on vacation, but they go to like a haunted bed and breakfast. So there's going to be monsters and ghosts and fun stuff, because kids love to be scared, but they also like to laugh. So so that's kind of like the third book will be about that. So it's totally by accident. All this stuff kind of like happened on a whim, and a lot of times that's what happens in this business. You think you have a good idea for something, and then it takes you somewhere else, totally around the block, doing something different. So
I love that. I'm blown away right now by the story, by everything, by the journey, because a lot of people don't understand the journey of getting there. It's not just you write a book, you give it to somebody, they love it, you're a millionaire. It's like I wrote 80 books. The 81st book when I was down and out, and I was like, I'm just going to write this story, and you better take it. And then they're like, okay, this is actually a great story. It's like, what?
I've had a very different career. I started off selling magazine gags to magazines, and that moved into greeting cards. I've designed over 1,000 greeting cards for different companies. I never worked for anybody. I was always a freelancer. Then I would illustrate magazine articles for kids magazines, kids books. I've illustrated other authors' books. Done anything where there's humor. I've had 3 newspaper comic strips over the years. One went for 18 years. The other 2 kind of died within a year. Okay. But this is like a whole new career for me. It's like because I'm used to thinking like when you draw a comic strip, you have to tell a story in like 12 words and 3 panels. Where this is 150 pages and like a million panels and all these words, so it's a much longer process. So I had to rethink how I told stories.
Right.
But it was still exciting for me. I felt like I was 20 again, 25 again, and I was like, okay, and I'm learning a whole new process. And it's working. It didn't work the first few times, but then I figured it out how it works. So it's the same thing in anything you pursue. You'll be very lucky if you do it right the first time. Yeah. But you also don't learn anything if you do it right the first time. Because when I failed, when I drew things and I did books that I thought were good, I look back at those early things and I go, that was wrong. I didn't do that right.
Like, what was I doing?
I'm glad that didn't give up. I can understand why it didn't work. But so failure is not always a bad thing. It's a good thing because you learn what not to do, and you learn from that. And anybody in any profession will tell you that failure is, even baseball players, the best professional baseball player fails 7 out of 10 times when he gets up to bat, which is a horrible average in any other profession. But those people get paid millions of dollars, and failure happens to them all the time. So, so it's if you keep plugging and you keep working hard, and if you love what you do, you will succeed. It's a guarantee. It's the people that don't give up, the people who are tenacious and use all the assets that they get. They will succeed. Because that's the key to success, is getting over that self-doubt. Because my biggest hurdle when I was a young man, I was too afraid of rejection. If you can accept rejection and understand what it is and why it happens, you will be successful, and rejection won't affect you. Because I look at rejection now as, okay, what did I do wrong, or what can I do better, and who can I? Maybe I'm putting in front of the wrong people. Yeah. So you learn from that. Some people just get rejected and they say, "Oh, I'm not good enough," and they give up. Because again, I go back to what it says, it's such a personal thing, how you see the world. When you write a book or tell a story or do a piece of art or write a piece of music, that's such a personal thing because that's your vision of the world. And that's a risky thing to do. And if people don't get accolades right away, most people will give it up. Right. And you shouldn't, because that's not how it works. It's just the joy comes from doing it. And that's what I always try to stress with young people. It's just keep doing it. Just keep drawing. Even if you never become a cartoonist, you should just do it because it trains your brain to think in a certain way. Right. Think creatively, because all our problems in the world comes from creative thinking, not memorizing facts. It's from thinking outside the box. And when you do art and music and sing, you're thinking outside the box and you're exercising your brain. So I always encourage kids to just keep drawing all your life. Make it a lifelong pursuit. Play your instruments that you learned in grade school all the way till you're an old man and you drop dead, because playing those instruments make you a better human being. It makes you think better. It makes you more creative. Right. And that's what life is about. It's about being creative, like what you guys are doing.
Trust me, I love doing this. I love talking to people like you. I learn things. I'm able to see life from a different vision, because we may be going through the same thing at a similar parallel time of life, and I just go, okay, if I just keep going, it'll eventually stick, because you were here and it didn't happen. It took you a couple of tries. So it gives the younger generation give more patience and give more time to yourself for your craft to grow. So
one of the things I tell young people to give them a little perspective on how much rejection you can get. When I was freelancing, my whole career was about freelancing, but when I was early on doing freelancing, I would do a promotional postcard. I would spend money on this postcard. I'd do the postage. I could buy a mailing list of, let's say, 1,000 art directors. And these are the people that buy art or hire artists to do work for them. So I would send 1,000 postcards out, and I knew as soon as I mailed them that 997 of those postcards were going to go right into the trash once they reached their destination. But it's those 3 that say yes to me. That's what I'm trying to find. I'm not trying to get 1,000 people to say yes to me. I'm trying to find who is going to say yes. So I understood that there's going to be a lot of rejection. But those 3 are the ones that afforded me to not have to have a 9-to-5 job. Those are the 3 that paid me enough where I can put my daughter through private school. It paid my mortgage. Yeah. We don't have a mortgage anymore. So that's what you want to do. You want to find those 3. If 997 are going to make you quit, then you're not cut out for it. So, because you're thinking about it wrong. You want to find those 3. It's not about convincing 1,000. It's finding 3 or 4 or 5 that are going to say yes. And sometimes you do 1,000 and nobody says anything.
Yeah.
But the next time you do it, you'll get 10 or 12, or you somebody who hasn't hired you. 10 times you sent them a card, and finally they hire you, and then they're going to hire you from now on. So it's about being tenacious, about not giving up. It's about believing in yourself and your talent, and believing that you will always get better. Because you never want to be perfect, because there's no such thing as perfection, because it would be terrible if it was perfect, because that means there's nothing more to learn. 100%. So even as a man who's been doing this for 40-some years, I still have things to learn. I'm learning more about this business now, and it's exciting. It's fun. It makes it interesting. So that's kind of that's the message I try to give to the kids.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so where can the people find Take a Hike if they would like to pick up a copy?
Every Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble's the distributor. Also, you can go on Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's on the Barnes & Noble site, or you can go on the Union Square Kids site. But just type in "Take a Hike," Schnauzer and Tater Toes, or my last name, and you'll see it. They'll come right up. So
wow.
You can order it through there. So yeah.
I love that. Well, look, guys, make sure you go pick up a copy. Take a Hike, officially out right now. Support an author. I am also a book author, so I love your story. Inspires me to keep dropping books, so that's what I'm going to keep on doing. We're here at ToshuCon. It's been an amazing day. I had such a great time talking with you, learning your story. I can't wait to tell everybody about your book and tell them to get a copy. But I got Q behind the cam. We still got so much more to show you. I'm out of here, baby.